when Randy Orton became a menace to society, when The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels gave us the greatest match in WrestleMania history, when Big Show chokeslammed John Cena to the Shadow Realm, when Jeff Hardy's sudden exit broke everybody's heart, when Chris Jericho unmasked Rey Mysterio, when CM Punk became the most hated man on SmackDown. And these are just some of the things that happened during the crazy year of 2009. Most wrestling fans hate this year because they remember 2009 as the year WWE fully transitioned into the PG era. However, despite the PG restrictions, 2009 was filled with personal rivalries, shocking title changes, and career-defining performances that fans still rewatch to this day. So what made 2009 so special yet so underrated? What were the matches, feuds, and moments that defined WWE's dive in the PG era? Let's rewind the clock and relive the chaos of WWE in 2009. By the end of 2008, Randy Orton was already an established main event star. He'd won world championships, feuded with legends like The Undertaker, and the Legend Killer was one of the top stars in the company. However, in 2009, Randy Orton went full-on psycho mode and terrorized the entire wrestling world. His first target was none other than Vince McMahon. After a heated standoff, the Viper straight up kicked the chairman in the skull and established himself as the company's top heel. Randy then went on to win the 2009 Royal Rumble, punching his ticket to the main event of WrestleMania. But Orton wasn't done with the McMahon family. When Vince's daughter Stephanie brought back her brother Shane to deal with Orton, Randy ended up punting him in the skull too. But he didn't stop there either. He even RKO'd Stephanie and stood tall over her with a cold, emotionless stare. This wasn't just business anymore. This was personal. And there was one man who couldn't let it slide: Triple H. Triple H and Stephanie were married in real life. Heading into WrestleMania, the game wasn't just defending his championship. He was defending his family. Triple H invaded Orton's home and attacked him ruthlessly. But the Viper got his revenge days later when he handcuffed Triple H and kissed Stephanie right in front of him. The feud built to a boiling point heading into WrestleMania 25. Triple H promised he would end Randy once and for all on the grandest stage of them all, while Orton wanted revenge for Triple H kicking him out of Evolution 5 years ago. After almost 25 minutes of back-and-forth action, Triple H beat Orton and retained the WWE Championship. Orton's era of terror was over, or so everyone thought. But while Randy was making the McMahon's life a living hell on Raw, another iconic rivalry was gearing up for its final chapter. John Cena had entered 2009 as the World Heavyweight Champion after returning from injury and dethroning Chris Jericho. However, if Edge is on the same roster as Cena, you know Cena's life won't be peaceful. But here's the thing. In early 2009, Edge and Cena weren't even on the same roster, but the rated R superstar still managed to finesse the system one more time. At No Way Out, Edge lost the WWE Championship inside the Elimination Chamber after being quickly eliminated by Jeff Hardy. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief thinking his reign of terror was finally over. But the Master Manipulator wasn't going away so easily. Later in the night, Edge attacked Kofi Kingston while he was making his entrance and took his spot in the World Championship Elimination Chamber match. When the night was over, Edge had lost a world title and won another within a span of 3 hours. The stage was set for another epic clash between Cena and Edge. It looked like the most iconic rivalry of the Ruthless Aggression era was finally going to get its WrestleMania spotlight. Except there was a twist. WWE inserted Big Show into the match, turning it into a triple threat. Show had been caught in a love triangle with Edge and Vicky on SmackDown, and he wasn't about to let Cena and Edge settle things without him. At WrestleMania, the three collided in a hard-hitting affair. But in the end, it was Cena who overcame the odds, capturing his 5th World Heavyweight Championship and bringing the title back to Raw. However, Edge wasn't finished yet. He invoked his rematch clause at Backlash, and this time it was a last man standing match. Cena fought valiantly, but towards the end, Big Show appeared out of nowhere and chokeslammed Cena through a spotlight. Cena laid motionless, and Edge stole the victory. The World Heavyweight Championship was returning to SmackDown once again, but Edge's celebration was about to be cut short by a certain charismatic enigma. Jeff Hardy had ended 2008 on top of the world, finally capturing his childhood dream when he won the WWE Championship at Armageddon. But 2009 would prove that staying on top was far harder than getting there. Hardy's first major challenger was none other than Edge. The rated R superstar wanted to reclaim what he believed was rightfully his, and at the Royal Rumble, he got his chance. In a shocking turn of events, Hardy lost the championship when his own brother Matt interfered and cost him the match. The betrayal was gut-wrenching. The Hardy brothers brothers had been fan favorites for over a decade. They'd won tag team gold together, stolen shows with ladder matches, and shared countless memorable moments. But jealousy had been eating away at Matt. He was tired of living in his younger brother's shadow, tired of watching Jeff get all the glory while he fought for scraps. At the Royal Rumble, that jealousy exploded. Their brother versus brother feud consumed the first few months of the year. Matt claimed Jeff was selfish, reckless, and undeserving of his success. Jeff just wanted to understand why his own flesh and blood would stab him in the back. The Hardys collided multiple times throughout the spring. Matt got the win at WrestleMania, but Jeff got his revenge at Backlash. However, Jeff couldn't focus solely on his brother. He still had championship aspirations, and Edge was now holding the gold after defeating Cena. At Judgment Day, Hardy challenged Edge for the title, and just when it looked like Jeff might recapture the gold, Matt Hardy interfered again. The assist allowed Edge to retain, leaving Jeff frustrated once more. Finally, at Extreme Rules, everything came together. Jeff defeated Edge in a brutal ladder match, his specialty, to win the big gold. The charismatic Enigma was back on top, but his celebration lasted all of about 30 seconds. CM Punk's music hit. The Second City Saint walked down the ramp with his Money in the Bank briefcase, the same one he'd won at WrestleMania months earlier. Hardy was exhausted, broken, barely able to stand. Punk cashed in and within minutes became the new World Heavyweight Champion. Jeff's moment of glory had been ripped away in the cruelest fashion possible, and this led to the most heated rivalry of the summer on SmackDown. CM Punk was the straight-edge superstar who preached about living clean, about avoiding drugs and alcohol. Jeff Hardy had a well-documented history with substance issues. Punk used this against him, constantly berating Hardy for his past mistakes, calling him a failure and a bad role model for kids. They traded wins throughout the summer, and finally, at SummerSlam, they met in a tables, ladders, and chairs match with the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. In a shocking outcome, CM Punk defeated Jeff Hardy to retain his title in what many considered Hardy's signature match type. But the feud didn't end there. SmackDown wasn't big enough for the two of them. Punk and Hardy faced off once again on an episode of SmackDown in a loser leaves WWE steel cage match. Punk won the match, forcing the charismatic Enigma to leave the company. Fans were devastated, kids were crying, and Jeff's glorious run had come to an abrupt end. The backstage reason was that Hardy needed time to heal from injuries, but the real story was darker. WWE chose not to renew his contract when it expired a few months later due to continuing substance abuse issues. Jeff Hardy's meteoric 2009 had ended not with glory, but with a painful goodbye. Had Jeff stayed with the company, he could have main evented WrestleManias and even become the face of WWE. To this day, it remains one of the biggest what-ifs in wrestling history. But before we get too deep into the summer chaos, we need to rewind back to WrestleMania 25, when two legends created magic. The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak stood at 16 wins. For nearly 2 decades, nobody had been able to defeat the dead man at the Showcase of Immortals. Legends had tried and failed. Champions had fallen before him. The streak had become as iconic as WrestleMania itself. But now The Undertaker faced his most dangerous challenge yet, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. This wasn't just another match. This was symbolic. Heaven versus hell. The showstopper versus the phenom. It was a dream encounter between two of the greatest performers in WWE history, and somehow it exceeded every expectation. Leading up to Mania, HBK had outsmarted the dead man at every step. Taker had never defeated Michaels one-on-one in a big match situation. It looked like HBK had the psychological advantage. But when it's the night of WrestleMania, The Undertaker becomes something absolutely mythical. For 30 minutes, the two legends delivered perfection. Near falls had the crowd on their feet. Signature moves were countered. Finishers were kicked out of. At one point, The Undertaker attempted a dive to the outside, but the move went horribly wrong. He came dangerously close to landing directly on his head in what could have been a career-ending situation. Michaels nearly won by countout as the dead man struggled to make it back into the ring. Michaels hit sweet chin music flush, but Undertaker kicked out. Taker hit the tombstone, but it wasn't enough. Every 2 count felt like it could be the one to end the streak. The Houston crowd was losing their minds with every passing moment. In the closing sequence, Michaels attempted a moonsault, but The Undertaker caught him midair and drove him down with a thunderous tombstone piledriver. As Michaels lay motionless in the ring, The Undertaker slowly rose to his feet. Both men had left everything they had out there. The match received universal praise from critics and fans alike. It set an impossible standard for every Mania match that followed. Even today, many fans consider it the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. But while Taker and HBK were stealing the show, Randy Orton was trying to literally end careers. Remember when we thought the age of Orton was over after Triple H beat Randy at WrestleMania? Well, that didn't last long. At Backlash, just weeks after losing the championship, Orton found his way back to the top. In a six-man tag team match, a pre-match stipulation stated that if Orton pinned Triple H, he'd become champion. And that's exactly what happened. The Viper was back on top. The age of Orton was upon us once again. But Randy's second reign would be short-lived. At Extreme Rules, Batista defeated him to capture the championship. However, 09 Orton wasn't going to stay down so easily. If he couldn't beat you in a match, he would simply put you out of action. Randy and Legacy attacked Batista, broke his arm, and forced him to vacate the title. With no champion, WWE held a fatal four-way match, and once again, Randy Orton emerged victorious. This third reign would prove to be his longest of the year. Orton successfully defended against Triple H, finally putting their feud to rest in a brutal 3 stages of hell match. But as one rivalry ended, another was about to heat up. John Cena had moved on from his battles with Edge and Big Show, and now he had his sights set squarely on the WWE Championship. His feud with Orton dominated the second half of 2009. At SummerSlam in August, Orton used every dirty trick in the book and walked out as champion once again. Finally, at Breaking Point in September, Cena defeated Randy Orton in an I Quit match to capture the WWE Championship, but Orton invoked his rematch clause immediately. At Hell in a Cell inside the demonic structure, Orton regained the championship in controversial fashion. The rivalry reached its epic conclusion at Bragging Rights in October with a 60-minute Iron Man match. For a full hour, Cena and Orton battled back and forth, trading falls and punishment. At one point, Randy even tried to blow up Cena with pyro, but the GOAT won't stay down. In the final moments, with the score tied, Cena locked Orton in the STF, and the Viper had no choice but to tap out. John Cena stood tall as champion, and their legendary 2009 rivalry had finally reached its conclusion. But 2009 wasn't just about main event rivalries. Throughout the year, other compelling stories unfolded. DX reunited and had an epic feud with Legacy that included a Hell in a Cell match, a submissions match, and HBK and Triple H even had an epic TLC match against Jericho. Speaking of TLC, the December pay-per-view delivered one of the biggest shocks of the year. Sheamus, a relative newcomer who'd only been on the main roster for a few months, defeated John Cena in a tables match to become WWE champion. The year also saw The Undertaker reclaim the World Heavyweight Championship, CM Punk's transformation into one of the company's top heels, Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio's entertaining feud over the IC title, and Kofi Kingston's brief run in the main event scene before Randy thought he was stupid. While fans remained divided about 2009, the year proved that WWE could still deliver great stories, shocking moments, and unforgettable matches even with the PG restrictions. In fact, this would end up being WWE's hottest year before the magic of 2016. And if you want to revisit the amazing year of 2016 in WWE, check out this video next.